Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Hallyujuku Talks, our periodic breakout episode guidance thing that we do when we want to deep dive into something in particular, a topic, a show, or movie, or something like that. We want to kind of break it out and do its own discussion. We do Hallyujuku Talks. This time it's going to be about a movie. It's a very interesting movie that Kaz recommended. Kaz, what are we going to be talking about?
We are going to be talking about the movie Psychokinesis. When did this come out? Actually, this year. So 2018 film. It is written and directed by Yeon Sang-Ho, who, if you're relatively familiar with the Korean film industry, is kind of this up-and-coming director. Very, very, very known for his film Train to Busan. Which kind of just fucking shot out of the rocks. Like, was just really, really good.
Which I enjoyed, and I actually have a physical copy of.
He also, before that, did 2 animated films, King of the Pigs and The Fake. They did relatively well, but I think his transition to live action things, for some reason, has just been really, really good. And that kind of maybe gives away a little bit, but no, Train to Busan is amazing. And so we're talking about his second film, Psychokinesis. So Psychokinesis is the story of this man who, after drinking some water from a spring, ends up with psychic abilities and just kind of the weirdness that ensues.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, so in many ways, it's like it's Yeon Sang-Ho's like taking what he did for the zombie movie, he did for the superhero movie in this one. Whereas like it's on the surface it's about the superpowers, but they don't really dwell on that. It's really more about commentary on like bureaucracy and like the big guy beating up on the little guy.
So you could take this movie from a couple of different perspectives, right? So I'm going to give everyone a broader audience. I mean, a broader perspective if you haven't seen this movie. So this movie, in its basis, is the who ends up being the main protagonist is the main character's daughter is in this really messed up situation where the shopping district where she owns her restaurant is being violently taken over by a construction company who is kind of cutting through the bureaucratic red tape to take these people's businesses. And through circumstance and bad misfortune, her mother dies. And her father, who is kind of this deadbeat, he's kind of just this slub. He's
ran away, and he's not in their life for like most of it.
Well, there's that, but he just is kind of a schlub, right? He just is only out for himself. He only looks out for himself. Doesn't really look out for anybody else. Just kind of lives how he wants to live with no consequence. And upon gaining these psychic abilities and these powers. And through the misfortune, he tries to reconnect with his daughter due to the death of his ex-wife, while at the same time trying to find a way to make a buck using these powers that he got. Yeah. And then he ends up through just kind of a sure mishap being the hero. Yeah. And then he kind of grows up in a sense throughout this movie and then has that moment where he reconnects with his daughter. So then, to come back to what you said, right? There's this whole movie about the big guy pushing on the little guy and the little guy doing whatever they can to fight back, right? And all the bureaucracy and all that stuff and corruption and all these things, right? There's literally a whole movie about that. Then there's a whole movie about a family getting back together after being separated because the father was really bad and the daughter has become this upstanding person, and through her being an upstanding person, he becomes an upstanding person. There's that movie. and then there's a movie about a dude with superpowers.
Yes.
Like, it's weird. There are literally 3 movies happening at the same time.
Yeah, and like it balances it well. I think overall, I think it balances.
There's like, okay, I liked this movie. I'm gonna just come out and say,
yeah,
I really enjoyed this, but it has some plot holes.
Yeah, I mean, So I think in a similar, like, the director, like, when people are right-handed, they decided not to really focus too much on the why. Just like in Train to Busan, they didn't really focus too much on the why. I think there was some exposition, but that wasn't the huge deal. It's more about, okay, this thing is happening, we have to deal with it. Like, and then they focus us on like the people that are in the middle of it all. And then, like, in this one, like, you get the one scene where the meteor hits, and then you follow the superpower juice, whatever it is, like, that goes to the spring and he drinks it.
Mysterious substance,
Yeah, this mysterious electrical, chemical, like, and it's like you don't know why it only he gets superpowers, not everybody else. Like, it only affected.
It seems like it did. I will give it that, right? The animation was good enough to show that it kind of stuck together in this one thing of water and ended up in his cup, right?
Yeah.
And then there was nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
So that was interesting.
But I think it tried not to dwell too much and mostly focus on the people's story. I think that's what the main thing was.
It did kind of focus on the people's story. I love so in its basis, this is a superhero movie, right? Like, and I kind of love that they went this route where, like, kind of this you did the superhero arc thing, right? Where this kind of unexpected person ends up being the hero, and they come up, right? Those things in an American movie would have been the whole movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, that whole process would have been the whole movie. He like masters these powers and constantly is coming into them throughout the entire arc of the movie. And it's understandable, right? And this is kind of one of those things we've talked about with other styles, not just Korean movies, because they've been known for it too, but a really good movie where you take the pill of suspension of disbelief, right? So you already swallow that. And then they're like, okay, you're already on this ride. We already have you strapped in. We're not going to beat you over the head with bullshit, right? Like, you kind of go through this journey of, holy, something's weird. I'm kind of figuring out how to use this little by little. Oh, holy shit, I can do more than I thought I could. Oh, holy shit, I can do even more than I thought I could.
Yeah.
And then it gives you almost this sky's the limit thing, but it very much brings you back down and it grounds you very easily. Yeah. And I love that. And I think I love that about this dude's directing style.
Yeah.
Is he takes these, like, he takes, like, what is like a small concept, right? Of like you said, right? So you have all the bureaucracy thing, right? And you have that. You could have focused solely on that. You could have focused solely on the father and daughter thing. You could have focused solely on the superhero thing. But each thing plays out really well, I will say. Like I said, there are some plot holes, but I will give you that each thing is paced so well.
Yeah.
Somehow, with all this shit going on, right? Like, yes, it leaves mysteries. What is this major corporation that there is? But at the same time, there are major corporate like I feel like I'm about to conspiracy theory this movie, but there are major corporations that you don't know about that exist all throughout the world, right?
Yeah.
And shit comes and goes, and you don't need to focus on all that, right? Like, the movie was primarily focused on this dude getting powers, coming into them and using them.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a slice of life, right? Like to use that anime reference.
Yeah.
but it's a slice of life, right? You took this very weird moment in this person's life. You didn't give us a shit ton of backstory about his life, which I love, right? Like, we just kind of come into this moment where he is right now. You find out that he's a deadbeat. You find out that, like, his daughter is still, like, holding on to this thing that her father never even tried to be a father.
Yeah.
And you just go from there. It's just, here's your start point, and then there's your end point, and that's it. And I fucking loved that.
Yeah.
I love, like you get to the end of this movie and you're like, but you know what, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it works. A lot of it works. Like, a lot of the like it forgoes a lot of the things that are annoying. Like, he doesn't have like a long overdrawn sequence of like him mastering his powers, because he more or less figures out a thing that he can do. Oh, I can do this thing, and then he's happy with that, because he's more or less happy with that. It's like, and then he moves along. It's like, hey, I can do this thing. Let me try to get a job doing this one thing. And then, like, the only reason he ever learns new stuff that he can do is because he has to. Like, he's not this person, you know. It's like, he's never like, I must figure out the limits to my ability. I must test myself. I must push myself. He's like, no, he's just a middle-aged Korean dude who works as a security. He doesn't give a shit about that. He just figure out how can I get a job as this? I can go to that club. Let me get a job performing for somebody. Like, I'm good. It's just like, I'm good. Let me figure out what the hell is going on with my daughter, you know.
Yeah, let me figure out how to make a buck. Right? And the other thing I love about this, right, is even in that, even with all that, he never actually is a hero to be a hero, right? He only really cares about his daughter, which I don't have a problem with that, and I think that's perfectly fine, right?
He's a guy who's a hero for fun. Oh, wait,
it's way more human. Yeah, he's a hero of circumstance.
Yeah,
is what it is, right? Like, he just so happens to have this. His daughter just so happens to be in this situation where they need a hero, and he just so happens to be that hero.
Yeah, he just so happens to be at the right position to say, you know, he's just trying to get the job done. He's just trying to, like, all right, this is a problem. You'll all solve it. You know, like.
Like, he even starts with the fact that he has the power, telling his daughter, like, yo, let's just fuck it, don't, like, give up. Like, we could go do some other shit, like,
let's wreck shop.
Like, yeah.
And so many good moments, yeah. And it has a lot of really good moments, like like even at the end, where you know, he at the end, like, he just comes by and he just makes sure everybody's okay and safe. I mean, at the end, they obviously, the little guy they don't win, they lose. But I like that moment.
Can I say I love that too, to a certain extent, right?
Yeah,
like,
you know, it's not gonna. You're not gonna. This little shop of, like, random little stores is gonna beat out this, like, big construction company. They were gonna win eventually. But I like his, like, all right, you won. You happy? You won. And then he kills President Min. I also love I kind of liked the bad guy characters. They were fun.
They were fun.
Those two. And Director Hong is intense. Jung Yoo-mi is fantastic.
Let's talk about her introduction scene right before we talk about any other character. Let's just skip right to the middle of this movie with the introduction of the representative of the Megacorp. Right, the giant conglomerate construction
Director
company. Right?
Hong. I
love that she just walks into a room and then is just yelling.
Yes. Fuck! I love that randomly she just goes, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "What?"
Right. It's so shocking. It just takes you out of this moment of all this shit that's happened, right? Because you're kind of like, you have these gangsters, right, who are trying to kind of be up and coming in a sense, right? Like and doing all this stuff, and they're kind of comical in a sense, right? And that's what you expect them to be.
The muscle. They are the ones under which they're doing the leg work for this big corporation.
Right. So you're kind of expecting someone a little more prim, a little more proper to be their counterpart, right? And you know, like some kind of just stoic person. And she walks into the room, and I thought she was gonna be that for a second, but no, she's just like, "What's up? Whoa, what is it? Fuck!" Like, and they're just like, "What the hell is?
That's so delicious. What have you guys eaten? I was like, I love like, it's like, how come you haven't eaten there yet? Come on, eat your food. Well, I'm good. Yeah. I don't need to eat. You know, we're having a great time. And then like she transitions into like inviting her.
I also love the slow twist of darkness for her, right? Because so she starts out really intense and then she kind of starts to come down. But then like even with the food, she's like, "You haven't eaten? Why haven't you eaten the food? The food here is really good. You should have eaten it already." And they're like, "Well, we didn't want to be rude. We wanted to wait." "No, the food is good and you should have eaten it." Like, and they're like, oh I mean, okay, like, you know, like,
and then like and then they bring and the moment she brings in what she, you know, her people, and that whole scene with her recording herself, like reacting, like, "Oh my god, what are you doing? Why are you being so violent? Oh my god, somebody call the police! Oh my god!" Just calmly yelling that, just standing still, just yelling that in her phone, not even looking at what's happening. While
there's also a really great moment in that scene where like it's cutting kind of to each person's reaction, right? And there was a moment it cuts to her reaction while Mr. Kim is getting beaten up, and she's doing the like recording into her phone, and she has this moment where she tries not to laugh, and I don't know if that's like it's intentionally edited there, but I don't know what like the acting of that scene was, but it's really great to kind of show her like her sadistic side to that, right? Like,
yeah.
It's great,
and it works well. And I think she's not in the movie a lot, but her scenes are fantastic.
She definitely, the scene she's in, she steals.
Yeah, and I think that the leads are really good. Eun-Kyung, who plays Shinrumi, she's fantastic. She was always has been, like, in the things that I've seen her. She was really great in Tomorrow's Cantabile, for as kind of weird and box standards that drama was. She did a great job in it, and she was great in Sunny, is a movie that I really enjoyed. That is also really fun and really well made. And the lead is a veteran actor. Ryu Seung-young is does his job well as a veteran.
Oh yeah, he plays like he plays that slubby kind of character really well, and somehow, some way, he takes a kind of a schlub of a character and puts a lot of character into it, right? Yeah. Like, there's just like a lot of like I love all his little weird twinges that he has when he's using his psychic powers, right? Like, it's just a really, really great. Like, I love all of that stuff.
Yeah. And I think overall really cool movie. I think this is another cool thing to like note is that we talk about, we didn't mention, this is just something we know that Kaz mentioned, that Kaz recommended because it's something he noticed on Netflix. It's because Netflix it's really cool. Netflix has really been like pushing into different international markets, especially the Korean market, with like either acquiring or producing stuff. Like this one, obviously acquiring like the global distribution rights to this movie, and like different TV shows. And it's been kind of cool. Like, what do you think of like that? What do you think of that? Like seeing that Netflix has been like doing it for the past couple of years, very obviously doing more to like get into these markets.
I mean, it's you know, it's the smart move for them, right? Because even if they, like, let's say they got every deal they ever wanted for American media, right? it doesn't help bolster their business, right? Because you're still not catering to every single customer you can have, right? And they're in other markets, but then they also have the problem of being region locked in other markets, right? So creating these deals where you're like, hey, let us show this thing in other markets. Let us do this in other markets. Let us show these American shows in Korea. Let us show these Korean shows in America. Let us show these. They have a lot of Spanish like series and things like that, and Spanish language series on there now too. Like not even just Korean stuff, right? Like they're really crossbreeding this market with different international flavors of movies and media and things like that, right? So now it definitely becomes this thing where you can have these random moments. Like, yes, obviously my Netflix is a little more stilted to show me Korean things because I've watched other Korean things on there. But then that's what I want as a Netflix customer, right? That adds value to the money that I give them, right? Yeah. Like they're adding more value to my account already, right? Like I initially was using Netflix to binge watch series, right? So now that you test one or two things with like I forget kind of what some of the original Korean things they had on there were. I think it was like
so far I only know of like absolutely original production would be Busted, which I suppose
no like what were the original Korean like programs that they had on there, because those were the test ones.
Yeah, they've had a couple. I mean,
it was what was the monster movie? It's like the really, really good one.
Host is what.
Host was one of the original like Korean films that they had on there, right? And that's like a very cult classic in that community of people like us, right? Who are into Korean media, into Korean movies, and things like that, right? Because that's kind of almost like a B movie. It's very special to like in that secret Korean audience and in that international audience, right? So you test the waters with things like that, and I'm gonna watch it. Petey's gonna watch it. People who have similar values to those things, like me, are gonna watch those things, right? We're gonna watch things like a Korean drama that's really popular in Korea because we know it's really popular in Korea and we want to see it, right? So rather than us going somewhere to like My Drama Fever or any of those other places, or even torrenting it, Netflix is like, hey, we already have your dollars, we already have your value here. You know, let us add something else that we have the data that you like this thing. We have the data that you want to watch this thing. And then rather than doing something like hacking your Netflix so that your Netflix thinks you're Korean and then gives you Korean version of Netflix. You know what I mean? Like it's just adding straight value for value. So on the Netflix part of it, it's just smart, and they've done it smart. They've spun it up correctly, and then now, like you said, right? They're now adding more value by giving you variety shows with people that they know, like you know.
UJ Suck,
and Kim Jong-min. So it's just smart. It's just really, really smart. It's a really fucking smart business play by them, and we gain from it.
Yeah, it's really
you know
cool.
what I mean? Like,
it's really cool.
And also, Netflix didn't pay for this because goddamn if that didn't sound like
because I will say I have nitpicks when it comes to Netflix's like thing. Like I really like it, but I will say this: I wish, I understand there's money involved. I wish they would figure out a way to figure out the music licensing or the media licensing within like show, like music within a show within a show, because I like having some of these shows, but like when you're watching what most of like K-pop fans know as knowing bros or men on a mission on the show, when you watch like the second episode in that and the first thing you see is IOI dancing to Pick Me, but what you hear is the like Jimmy Hart version of an Avril Lavigne song that sounds like it came from the YouTube audio library, and you know the dance they're doing, you know the song they're doing, but it's distracting. And a little bit with like with some of the shows, like in Reply 1997, when a lot of it is like the cultural touchstones and references, but when they go show something on the TV, it's blurred. And you're like,
so here's the thing, right? So the thing you're referencing, I understand your turn on that, because in the past it's been the Americanification of international media to make it seem palatable, right? But I think the world we live in now is that weird bullshit where you have to make deals with each individual marketplace, right? So yeah, you made a deal with the TV station, right? And then but you couldn't make the deal with the music station. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Netflix wouldn't intentionally change that. I feel like that's a we couldn't make that deal, so we have no choice but to change that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I less blame Netflix in those situations, and I more assume, especially because on this show, you know, we've taken those deep delves into the Korean music industry. I'm highly 100% sure that they were like, you got to give us this much money. And if I was in Netflix's place and knowing how some of those places work, I'd be like, fuck you too. You know what I mean? Like. And you just got to do what you have to do at that point.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like,
assuming it's my way and not your way, where it's they're changing it for no other reason than to save money. You know, like if it's the change because you couldn't make that deal because the other side is being too stringent, then I understand Netflix's play of just being like, you know, we have the bigger part of the media. Like, you don't want to be a part of it. That's fine. That's on you.
Yeah. And that's why I like. I think it's not as bad on something like Hyori's Bed and Breakfast, which it's not like they're interviewing a K-pop artist and they're doing their song and things like that. Though there are moments where the husband does put in a CD to press play and you hear something out of the YouTube audio library. Which is, can be, if you pay too much attention, it can be distracting, but on that it's fine. And on Busted, which is a Netflix produced thing, they could just they just commission some scores. Everything is just original scores, and actually the music actually just fits. It's not, any songs. It's just good score that fits the scene, which is good, and it sounds good. So like maybe more things that they get involved with producing, the less weird that becomes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all the original stuff. Yeah,
because it's just the hopes that in the end, like, because I really put the music thing on the Korean music industry, and it's the hopes that in the end they see the value that they're missing out on in not letting Netflix license their music, rather than the value that they think they're not gaining. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because that's the thing that has to happen, right? You have to be like, you're losing value because you're losing potential music purchases because these people aren't then hearing this music, right? Because that's the whole point of putting your music in a show, or licensing your music to a show, or letting a show play your music, is that people hear the music and they go, you know what? I want to buy that. Like,
yeah.
But because you're trying to make a bunch of money in the front end, rather than taking whatever loss you have in like, it's just, I don't know. It's dumb, and it makes it just.
Well, we'll see. I think we'll see. We don't know. We're only speculating. We don't know exactly what's going on, but we're
speculating, but I'm just speculating very strongly because fuck the Korean music industry. All right, back to this movie then. Back to this movie. No digress. Back to this movie. All right, so what do we think of the lawyer character.
He's nice. He's mostly of little consequence, but he's a nice character to have. It's like,
I feel like he was such an outside character to me, but he had like little funny moments that I enjoyed.
Yeah, he was nice, and he had a lot of funny moments. He had some funny moments, but like overall, I think like he was not of huge consequence. And like,
if he wasn't there, it's the same movie.
Essentially, I mean, like if you take him out of like he gave our protagonist a ride to the like he was like it was a good like person to have that would have interest in cluing in the protagonist on what's going on, and he was a person that he would call the protagonist to help him figure out where to go to help, his daughter. Like he was mostly there for those purposes, like for somebody to,
he was connective tissue.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, I think yeah.
You know what else I find interesting, right? Because we keep making, I keep making these comparisons of like this style of movie making to like what we get in America, and he would have been such a bigger character, right? Because of the fact that he has to be the love interest, he would have been like such a bigger, like put in your face fucking character. He'd have just been like all
like
your face fucking
in
character.
In an American movie, he main protagonist, he would have been the sub protagonist. The daughter would have been so far in the background, just as the love interest for the sub protagonist. He would have been the sub protagonist, and the daughter would have been the background character. That was the love interest to the daughter would have been the love interest. That's the thing. Like he is the kind of the love interest of the daughter. The daughter would have been the love interest. He would have been the sub protagonist with the dad being the protagonist. He would the Marky Mark Terminator,
also, right?
the Marky Mark Transformers movie, basically, is what I'm saying.
Like the other thing I really enjoy, right, is I love how even that little story piece, right, is given to you in very small segments and then just filled out, right? So it's like, oh, you kind of see that he likes her. Oh, you kind of see that she might like him. Skip. Like,
yeah.
Oh, they have another little cute moment. Oh, they have another little cute moment. Skip. Like, oh, he actually cares about her. Oh, wow, she values his opinion. Okay, and then they got married.
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
You're just like, all right, yeah, okay, thank you. Like, because literally, like, I hate how much, and it's happened. It happens in Korean media stuff too. Like, and I'm giving more respect to this writer director. Like, he had a story he wanted to tell, and he told that story. He didn't focus on all these other little bits that some studio head would have been like, oh, you know what? Focus, add 80 more lines of dialogue about this thing, because that'll really get the fucking 17 to 40-year-olds. You know, like this movie is like, I love movies that someone's like, I want to tell a story. Here's the story that I wanted to tell.
Yeah, and
you're like, awesome. Right, like, because I love shit like that. Like,
yeah, I think and as we kind of like conclude our talk on the movie, I think overall, what really works is that this movie is like Train to Busan in that he uses a high concept to tell these human stories. And I think, which is for the most part, that's what you do with high concept, like with genre movies. That's the point of most well done genre movies, is that you use these these genres. You use, whether it's a sci-fi concept, or whether it's a fantasy concept, or whether it's, a zombie movie or a superhero movie. The well done, cinematic, the films use that as a framework to kind of tell a very human story.
Yeah. I love how lackluster the ending is. Yeah. Like the legitimate ending, right? Yeah. Like there's the whole part that you talked about that kind of, what to me ends the second act, like of the whole battle scene, and then like it takes you into the ending of the movie, and then he goes to jail, and like you don't get a trial, you don't get any of that. You just know he goes to jail for 4 years for all the shit that happened. He gets out. He's like, yeah, whatever, I did my time, cool. Like you said, the dude comes and picks him up, gives him this information that him and his daughter are getting married. He gets to the place. He sees that his daughter has gotten back to doing the thing she loves. She's running a chicken restaurant again. But then you see that kind of love and respect that she gained for her father, right? Like in naming the chicken restaurant after him.
Yeah,
and
you see like and I love it does include the Korean media trope, in that your sign that somebody has decided to accept and love someone is that she proceeds to immediately yell at them, like they expect something from them. It's like she at first she's like conflicted, but your sign that she's like, all right, I do love you, Dad, is that she immediately yells at him to start helping. She's like, yeah, I'm busy. What are you doing? Come on, get on it. Which I love, and yeah, her naming the new chicken restaurant Superpower Chicken, and it's like a kind of a drawing that it could be a character of either him or her, if you really whether how you look at it, but what is kind of, and it's a nice little moment, I think, to cap off the movie. Yeah. Overall, really,
and then that, like, the lead of the question that, like, he didn't even know if he still had his powers. He
was in jail. He didn't need them.
You would have thought he would still be like, no, I still got, all right, I'm here for 4 years. Ain't shit else for me to do. Okay, no, I can still do it.
He had no purpose for it. He was just, I'm doing my time. I'm going to just, wake up, do the things I usually, probably did the usual, jail stuff.
Can I say I love that the jail was called Happy Reform Center?
yeah. I think it works.
Were there any like little bits of it that like stand out to you, like that just like?
Yeah, I think what we've talked about, the like I said, that moment at the end, this is how you know she accepted him. I like the all the little moments of like escalation of him learning his powers, just the fact that his learning the ability to fly, again, it's not a sequence of him like, I must learn to fly. It's more like, I need to fucking get there. Okay, I can can I fly? I'm fucking flying. I'm flying. Yeah. I'm crashing into a building now. Whatever. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna try to fly run, and now I jump like I'm the Hulk, and now I'm flying more or less. It's like, it's more like this is it's all those little moments of like, every escalation of his powers is always just a what do I need to do right now? Yeah, I think more of that, and more.
I love that too, right? Like, he was very content with the fact that he kind of just learned to push people, right? Like, and he used that a lot when he kept getting into fights. He kept like, push them away this way, push them that way, like. Yeah. And like you said, I love the lead up to that whole thing of him in the jail cell, and then him sitting there with the chick, and her going through this long monologue. Her monologues were just amazing. Like, holy shit. Like, just fucking awesome. On point. And then going back to the jail cell, and you just see the sequence in his mind, right? Because just constant reminder for those that think this dude is a hero, right? He's a shitty person, and he literally thought, you know what? Maybe I do take her offer. Like,
yeah,
he had to sit and think about that. But the mortal danger that his daughter was in, and the mortal peril that his daughter was in, is what like pulls him out, right? Like his actual care for his kid was like, no, I'm gonna be a fucking man. I'm gonna save my kid. Like, I'm gonna be a father and take care of my child. Like, and I love that. Like, just the initial escape from the police station, and then like he sees her, and I just love that moment where they see each other, and she's just like, all right, good for you. like she's still kind of an ass at that moment. Like, and then he destroys her car, and she's still kind of like doesn't give a fuck. She's just like, fuck, how am I gonna get home now?
Oh well. But yeah, before we talk about the entirety of the movie, let's talk about overall. What will be your conclusion? Like, what will be your conclusive thoughts like about the movie?
It is definitely like Train to Busan was kind of a surprisingly amazing to me. And then you bring this into the fold from the same director. Like, I just think this dude is just like poised to just make like the Korean movie scene just better, right? Like having two really good movies like this makes you that person that people have to like pay attention to. But for me, in that perspective, that's what this movie does. Like, he is now someone people need to pay attention to, because for me, both these movies are so amazing. They're so well written. They're so well directed, and they're so well shot and filmed, and like, there's just so much about it. And I think it's well acted. It's well directed. It's just it's good. This is what a good movie is. Like, this is gonna be my thing. That like I hold out. This is a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, stand outside of a movie theater. Like, no, this is what a good movie looks like. Like, that's what this is for me. This is my like, just preach to people about now.
Yeah, I think overall it's just it's a fantastic movie. Yeon Sang-Ho has had a couple of really good, fantastic ideas that he's able to flesh out into great viewing experiences. And I'm glad I got to check it. I'm better for it. I think it's just a really fun movie. I think it's overall it tells a really cool story. It's well made and well acted, and overall I think, and the big thing is that it's a good story and a good movie, but it's also just fun. Like, I think, people can sit down and just have fun watching the movie.
I think it kind of hits a lot of those things that you want, but it has a pace to everything, right? Yeah. Like, the comedy has a pace. It doesn't. It's not like every single scene has to have a joke, right? Like, the scenes where a joke is there, a joke is there. And sometimes there's even uncomfortable moments where there's a joke where it shouldn't be. And like, those moments are really good, right? Like, and they're really well done. They're not like, oh, here's a joke to kind of palette this thing, right? Like, there are moments where there is comedy being had through circumstance. Like the whole scene that we talked about in the restaurant where the guy is getting beaten up because she's trying to show her force, right? There are these small little moments of comedy in that are just awkward and well done. Like the whole part where the waitress comes in and she wants to put the food on the table, but then she sees the guy is there and he's also been beaten up. And then she's just like, wait, well, this is his order, so I'm going to just put it here and leave. Like, like that is such a great comical little moment that is told in awkwardness. You know what I mean? Like, and shit like that is just great. I like when you can do something like that. That's really good.
Yeah. Overall, great movie. Yeah. Those are our thoughts on Psychokinesis. I hope you enjoyed this little Hallyujuku talks.
It's on Netflix. You have Netflix, or you know somebody who has Netflix that'll let you use their Netflix.
You have Netflix, or you have your ex's Netflix. Like, use it and watch this movie. Yeah. That's it for Hallyujuku Talks. Go check out our regular episodes. We had one a couple days ago. We're gonna have one a couple days from now, or a few days. I don't know. It depends on when we record. But yeah, go check out, like, share, subscribe, do all the social media stuff. Hasta los huevos.